Let's get ready to rumble! Ladies and gentlemen, I am Pernigo. We are going to be looking at Cosmonarchy. We've got Hamster versus Veeq again. This time around, it's on a new map by Veeq called Muspelheim. Well, let's see what it has in store for us. This map is brand spanking new. You can find it in the Uprising folder if you want to play some games on it. We have Hamster in the bottom left, and we have Veeq in the top right. Some very, very interesting details about this map. We actually, I don't think it's revealed on our mini-maps, but this ramp over here is actually blocked by an iron foundry, which you can choose to attack or break open or whatever in order to take an expansion by land. Is this the version of the map? Yes, it looks like it. There's this version of the map does not contain a land path to that base. And there was an earlier version of the map that did have that, but that was before it was publicated, so I wasn't sure exactly what the specifications were, because this is Veeq's map, of course, but this is a map by Veeq7, so it must be like Fata Morgana, where you just play it, you know? Just play it all the time. We got, of course, a pylon coming down here for Hamster, nothing too out of the ordinary. We'll get to reveal the middle of the map a little bit. Nice open area for you to take some significant fights in. Looks like there's a couple of longer ramps over here and such that you might be able to use to increase your Z, so to speak, elevate your Z, change your height level in the middle of the battle. Pool first, followed by, a gateway here from Hamster, so that's going to be kind of interesting. Workers are meeting each other in the field of battle, also known as the ramp. And I thought Hamster was gunning for like a pylon block or something, but actually Veeq is droll scouting, so he is going to be doing that. He left a comment saying that he wasn't sure if he should be scouting or not with the worker, because obviously it does, reduce his economy. But since he's going pool first, you'd think maybe his economy would be even more fragile in some ways, because he's not going to get the extra larva to make more units and stuff. So that's kind of interesting to see that he's maybe something to be thinking about here. A nice little pocket lattice over here from Hamster. So the scout is going to be very important. We actually don't seem to have any military units being trained here from Hamster, so that's a little bit awkward for him as he's gone for that lattice instead. So the Drolleth scout is going to get to his base and will undoubtedly reveal this lattice. Now we've got a unit being queued up. There we go. He was waiting for the gas for the Draken, and it looks like. And now we have a hatch coming in the main for Veeq. So he will be augmenting his production. We've got the worker under attack here. Veeq's going to have to look at that and pull away. Zerg units in Cosmonarchy regenerate at a rate of 1 HP per second when they are not in combat. So that has been boosted from Starcraft 1. Although it's worth noting you have to be out of combat for 2 seconds in order for that to kick in. Very similar to flash shielding. Obviously the shields are great for Protoss here, but they don't heal the HP damage, right? The hull damage, so that's the dynamic there. Zet's trying to do their best to kill that scribe. They do indeed make it happen. So there will not be a return to form for the Hamster scribe. No returning home. Not at all interested. And with this hatch happening over here, while there's another expansion coming, the one vassal is not going to really protect too much versus this. The second vassal here, that's going to force some engagements. Obviously the Draken behind the gateway, Legionnaires coming out slowly. Nothing out of this lattice just yet. Now we're going to have to see a little bit of a push and pull here, right? So the early units here, that's what the power of the lattice opener, or the lattice being added to your opener, gives you the access to those very, very, not very durable. That's a weird way to say that, but the vassals are very fragile. And so yet they can still deal some damage if they have enough of them, but even one pair of quasis should be enough to zone away the vassals before they can really do too much. So Veeq is going to go ahead and respond to that. He's actually bringing up his Zets, which might get in the way of his ground units a little bit, but not really too big of a deal, and has queued up 4 workers since he knows that his base is coming up into fruition. So when we hold Alt, we can actually see in the top right that we have this is the expected worker count after the units finish training. Worker count on the left, military count on the right. So that kind of gives you an idea of eventually Veeq will be taking the lead in terms of the workers. There is a Nexus halfway done, of course, for Hamster. And he is adding idols now, seeing that there is no extra tech. That's another thing that vassals do. Okay, you can't get any worker harassment. You force out some combat units for sure, which is going to slow down the economy of the Zerg. But the other thing that you're going to be able to do is see what they're happening with. What are they making? What is their tech? That's where we have a rogue gallery in response and a second gateway. This might end up being something where we see the Barghest chaining. Their Barghest was adjusted after this game was played, not because of this game. I didn't even know they were going to feature, or maybe they won't, right? Because you can make 2 other units out of the rogue gallery anyway. Or, wait, is that right? Yeah. So I was going to say maybe there was 3 other units, but it might be. You have Vagrant, Kabbalist, and Charlatan. So yeah, 3 other units. Anyway, there's a lot of units you can make in Cosmonarchy. That's just a fact of reality. We got gas being harvested here in excess now by Veeq, so he might be thinking about a quick tier 2 tech as he starts to set up some static defense. Still has a nice little fork of quasis over here to tickle the vassals and prevent them from getting any worker harassment here. They might be able to, you know, do a little bit of damage, but there's really no way that you should lose the worker here. The fact that Veeq does is a little bit unfortunate. You know, when you can just box select like I did, click the wounded one and hit burrow, and then you're totally fine. But nonetheless, you know, okay, you got one worker. You're still ahead in worker, so it's not the end of the world, but a little bit flummoxing. And the heads-up army is much better here for the Protoss, but you see here we've got double Circuit. This is kind of reminiscent of Starcraft 1, you know, ZVT, where you see the Marine move out or whatever, and you decide, okay, I'm going to put down some Sunkens. Except, you know, Circuits are going to be a nice force multiplier for defending at home. It's still something that I think this army could actually crush that, depending on if some more Zealots get mixed in, because it's all Legionnaires right now, which melt to Quasilisks, as we saw in a previous match. But I don't think that we're going to see a committed attack just yet. So it was not Bargus after all, it was Kabbalists. The Bargus change was just to make them a little bit more expensive. So that was the predominant thing there, since they are a very high-impact unit, you could say. Nonetheless, though, we have an embassy coming. Vassals continuously just poking around here, seeing if they can maybe convince Veeq to move his ground army away. It looks like he recognized that might have been the gambit, because now he's kept his ground army down here. I think it would have had to commit with more vassals and then hope that Veeq continuously makes the mistake of like bringing his Zets in, because they're obviously in the same control group. But this last production round was all workers, and so Veeq, it looks like he's going to be floating a little bit of cash as he splashes down his eye roll. This is the perfect opportunity for Hamster to strike. All of the resources were just spent on stuff that is not going to contribute positively to the fight. The Golem coming into frontline. We got the Kabbalist here to gap close immediately. It's actually going to be sharking up towards the Quasilisks up here along with another Golem. So that's going to be pretty big, but unfortunately a lot of damage was split. He's going to go ahead and finish off that Kagrim before it can finish mutating. That was a clutch timing. And the Kabbalist has made it into the back line, and actually it doesn't look like Veeq's noticed. He's still busy down here trying to get stuff. Remember, you get the under attack notifications when the Kabbalist attacks, so it's not like it is in StarCraft 1, where the one-shots will not count. I mean, it's not one-shotting, but we fixed the one-shot part anyway. Meanwhile, it looks like a single Zeth has done the same kind of thing. Killed 5 scribes over here, 6 scribes, in fact. So, you know, okay, the Kabbalist does one better, but in a world where, Veeq doesn't get that counter damage off with the one Zeth, a lot of stuff is a little bit different there. Still, Hamster has a little bit of tempo since he has the third base coming online. I'm not so sure about the Iral Iris being here. Like, I don't know what Veeq is planning. He is going to have to think about what he wants to make. It's going to be Matraval Nest. I think he might be... Oh, okay, I know what he's doing. So there's the Iron Foundry. It is revealed. We got the Witness on here. One of the things you can do, there's nothing stopping you from doing this, is infesting neutral assets. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something like that where he is going to infest this and he's going to use it to create some end-tier things. Now, the Kabbalist did just die at the ramp. Zet's going to go ahead and surround that. The Witness poking its head in over here. Quasis can attack this because it is within range of the Iral Iris, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do too much there. 2 Ovoliths just got queued up. The Protoss ground force is indeed going to amass in front of the Zeth pool over here, right? Warden being added over here. I do think that the Protoss has some nice pressure right now. I still don't think they can break this, especially with 2 more circuits having been added in the meanwhile. Now, the one thing you can say is, sure, just walk away, right? So he's going to see if he can commit onto it. The Zets can be really, really efficient over here. There's a lot of Quasis back here as well. So Veeq is mostly just holding on for dear life as he's actually making a Vornath. I'm not sure why he made that instead of the Kalkir Lake. It's not that much more expensive, so that feels like a bit of a mistake there to buy the Vornath here. Aquifer coming down, Ancestral Archives coming down, so we're going to see a little bit more tech out of Hamster, keeping his minerals low, but he needs a little bit more Vespian if he wants to afford those kinds of units. And now we see here, the Witness, I'm not sure where it is, if it got cleared or what, but it's no longer spying on the army here, so it will indeed get not be able to see the Iron Foundry doing its thing. So it is going to go ahead and get channeled by the Blissful Embrace. Got a little bit of a run-by with the 1 Legionnaire just to see what's going on. And here's a Vassal. It is going to spot this, I think. Where is the reaction here? That's the question. So does he see it? I mean, yeah, I think he's figured it out, right? So he sees it right over here. He's like, wait a second. You're not supposed to be able to have that. But, here it is. ... Yeah, Mapmaker advantage. Can you believe this guy? Haha. I'm a little bit torn on this, by the way, from a mechanistic standpoint. I wonder if you should be able to lift off neutral things. You can't with neutral anchors, which is, its own thing. But, Infestation is now much more ubiquitous, so what are you going to do with this? Now, Veeq is obviously going to be able to afford an add-on at some point if he wants to. He's got a lot of minerals floated. It does feel like the Ancestral Archives is coming a little bit late here. Prostration stage even, so it looks like we're going to have some mind control as well. That means that basically what this allows for is the end game mech tech. So another witness getting popped, unfortunately, there for Hamster. But he has a lot of Vespene that he can harvest, so it's not really the end of the world. Relocating the Iron Foundry. I'm not sure why maybe he was like interrupting that spot. He also gets access to this base over here. Oh, you know what he might be able to do? If with this prostration stage, he could attack this with a Demiurge and then keep the Demiurge there. It's a little bit more committal, but it's kind of interesting. So Vorvicors have been made. I think Veeq is... I almost wonder if this isn't like a bait, where if Veeq goes for the Biotic Bastion, he's going to go for Aeons, I think, or maybe Anticathons. If he goes for something like that, like a Penumbra would be really good versus what the Protoss have. I don't know if anything, if the Aeon is very good, right? By the same degree. Vassal getting tickled from the outside. Not able to be focused down here. Veeq's got a very immobile Zerg army. It's a little bit weird to see this sort of writhing morass of random Zerg units here. The Matrolets can be very efficient, but it doesn't look like they're here. Yeah, they're actually stuck by the ramp, and this Kagra is also not receding, which is very interesting. Demiurge will not be required here. Engram, couple Wardens. Kabbalist has cleared the spot for another base as 9 o'clock currently being taken. The engagement coming over here, I really don't know that Veeq is going to be able to break what Hamster has, although he's at a current standpoint where he's got Uptectons coming. Oh yeah, and this is Prostration, not Synthetic Synod, so he wouldn't be able to get access to a Demiurge anyway. But he's making Pariahs. That's also a really good choice here. I think he should add, like, you know, when he hits, you know, more than 2 Uptectons, it's going to be really hard for Veeq to be able to bust this. But, you know, going up to multiple bases, see if he can get that advantage. I mean, he's only now catching up to Hamster's economy. Even that is not really saying enough, because Hamster is setting up an engram by this base. He's going to go ahead and start harvesting Vespene from it as well. So 9 o'clock is coming online. We've got plenty of defenses warping in, plenty of ground troops on standby for that. Can take this back base at pretty much any time. And there it is. We do have an Aeon. And it is in production. I kind of don't think it's going to make a big difference, but maybe Veeq will prove me wrong. I like that he's taking control of the little spokes over here that are on like the high ground in the middle of the map. It does feel like it's going to be a little bit hard for him to fully collapse upon this. And here we have this sort of like, this is also available on the new Derelict, right? But it's a very similar sort of outward ramp. It's projecting in. So this is going to be the trigger to move forward. I still think that Hamster has everything he needs in this situation. He hasn't really hemorrhaged too many units, but he's going to fall back to the defenses, and the engram is going to sort of absorb a lot of this pressure. You saw the Matrolets there trying to infest the Uptecton. It's not a bad shout, but he had no collapse potential because it was all quasis and all convies. So there's really no anti-armor damage with this force, and that is a pretty big deal. So a couple more Uptecton shots for good measure. You know, Strider's taking a bunch of stuff out. The Aeon has arrived. Being infested, it's going to be moving slower, but it will be able to... Oh, look at that. He's attacking his own units, trying to revive them. I think is too much micro over here. For me, for my money, look at this Mind Tyrant to counter that, see if it can grab the Aeon from the back line. And, you know, the fact that it is indeed going to be a little bit more zombified, if you will, have less movement speed, less vision range, it's really not going to be capable of doing too much here. I think it's going to have to tuck tail and run. And it's a funny tech showcase, but at this point, I think it's pretty clear Hamster is massively in the lead. At any point, he can take that back base. He can absolutely shut down this sort of corollary there. There's an Anticathon. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I just feel like you can have an infested Anticathon. Look, it's right there. It's right there, Hamster. Well, killing it is fine, too. There's the control coming in. Now it's on the infested Aeon is on Hamster's side, and the Mind Tyrant is going to see if he can make off with his lackey. Unfortunately for Hamster, I do think he's going to get pranked over here. The Anticathon obviously long since dead. There's just a wagon train moving over there on that side, but the actual base is dead. I think Veeq has turbo tunnel visioned onto this situation, and even that, he can still get the Aeon killed here if he's not careful. Yep, there it is. A Tecton shot from downtown. The Anticathon was able to do nothing. 2 more have been queued up, but that's not the best way for the Zerg player to spend their resources, is queuing things. I hate to break it to you. So yeah, again, you know, maybe you can like snipe some stuff from the distance. I never really thought about that, but that does look like you could move the Uptectons over there. But nonetheless, though, that base being bopped is definitely a pretty big problem, and you know, just a rough situation here for the Veeqinator. More gateways being added to the third base. We'd love to see that, making good use of the extra build space that you have. And, you know, it's a cute move, but in practice, it's not nearly as OP as maybe you would think. Here come the Uptectons to deal with these circuits from afar. They do need to keep relying on the, you know, the power of the pariahs to keep the forces at bay. Very, very good stuff there from the general setup. I think Hamster is unfortunately not micromanaging his attack force very well. Maybe he's just going to say, fuck it, I'm going to charge in and see what happens. And this could get him a little impatient, but the Anticathon is a little bit too far away to affect change on the map right now. And it does feel like even though, okay, that pariah is down, that would be a juicy target for reanimation, but are you really going to be able to do anything with it? Turns out not. We got more units sort of scattered about. We've got, you know, Zealots marching across the map. Very thematic for the Protoss, adding another base over there. And we've got more and more Uptectons that are going to see some play here. The Pariah trying to peel for them. Convolusks are doing a lot of damage and getting a lot of brute spawn up, but, you know, with the Idol and the Pariah, plus the Uptecton shots themselves, even though the attack force wasn't very good, the fact of the matter is you still had plenty of shield regeneration possible there. That's even without, like, Ecclesiasts or anything like that. Looks like a Vagrant had ended up taking fatal damage, but that was about it. And that Anticathon is so very close to death. The second one's here to try to maybe chain the revives. It's a lot harder than you might think, though. It's not nearly as easy as you would think it would be to chain the revives with the Anticathons next to each other. Now, at this point, coming in before the Vorvs can even mutate, that's a pretty rough call. Charlatan is here to obviously increase the amount of damage dealt. That's going to be a great force multiplier for the Uptectons. There's 3 of them now. This force is just all too commanding, and all of the circuits have fallen. Desperately trying to remutate some of them, but those are dying too. Convies are going to go down. That's going to be it for the front line. And the Uptectons, even though some of their shots are going haywire, look at that. They just snipe out one of the Anticathons. Veeq isn't micromanaging that to try to revive it. Looks like he'll go there now. But basically, as soon as Hamster focuses, you know, he's probably been macroing behind this and stuff, although looking at his money, maybe not. He's queuing up some units, though. He can't even mind control these units fast enough because his Uptectons are sniping them all. And almost certainly that's going to be the tide breaking against what is Hamster's army. We had all of this Vespene put into the Biotic Bastion, put into the units. Veeq says GG, and that is going to be it for us. Hey, that was a really cool, like, it's weird to say this, but it's a very cool, very nifty match, and I'm glad that I was able to see it. You know, the last match we had an infested Star Sovereign glassing a Protoss base. In this match, we've got infested Iron Foundries making infested Terran units that get mind controlled and ran around the map. So we've certainly seen some things today, but hey, shout out Hamster, shout out Veeq, and leave your thoughts below on the map. Do you think it's too OP that the Iron Foundry gets to lift off? I feel like it was a huge tunnel vision, but maybe it could be really good later on in the game if you keep that tech available the whole time. I don't know, some stuff to think about anyway. Leave your comments below and catch you tomorrow for another one.